Good morning, everyone. I'm Shadows Pub, and welcome to Pimp Your Post Thursday, taking place in the Steam at Ramble and stream live on DLive. For those who are new to the show, you'll see a message I'm going to drop into the channel with instructions for an emoji you use to enter the queue. When I see the emoji, I will add you to the queue list and put another emoji by yours. If you want to see where you are in the queue, visit the DLive link. Be sure to mute the sound there if you are listening here. When your turn is called, you will drop your link in the text chat and come into voice to tell us about your post. If you're unable to use voice, then you must have text ready to copy paste into the text channel when you drop your link. And how is everyone this morning?
Good. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed of a sort.
Good. Movement says I'm low on his end. How are the rest of you hearing me?
Doing well here in Tennessee.
Good, I've got you turned right up there.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see.
Yeah, you're a little quiet, Shadows.
Let's see what I can do about that. Does that sound any better?
Not much. Be careful, Movement. Sergeant Dan's gonna get on. He's gonna blow your ears out.
How about that?
A little louder. You can.
Well, let's progress. Let's see if I can play with this one a little bit. Got everything pretty well turned up.
That's better. Getting there.
Probably all of a sudden I'll just go real loud in your ears on you.
That's alright. You have a nice voice.
Well, that was kind of you to say.
Not too loud now.
Well, you're okay, Sarge. And it looks as though Bluefin's going to lead us off this morning.
Well, I hope everybody's doing well this morning. I have a post. Come on. Look at that. It's a preview. So that's the way we start things off. Looking good. So I had a dad-daughter day earlier this week. My daughter is living with my aunt for the summer because she's working in the town that my aunt is in. And I happened to be down there staying because I had a photography show down there. And so we decided to head on into Provincetown, which is the biggest town nearby. And as we're walking around, my daughter says to me, Dad, is it Bear Week? And I said, no, that's always the end of July. And it turns out within 15 seconds of her saying that, she found a post that said, oh, yeah, Bear Week. And it was really funny because she had spent a good hour or so getting all dressed up and making herself up and doing the hair and picking out just the right dress and all that. And all for naught because it's Bear Week. And by the time we had walked maybe half an hour, I had way more hugs than she even had people to look at.
But, Dad got to appreciate his daughter.
Yeah, she looked pretty. That was nice.
So how did the, what you were at on the weekend go to?
Oh, the show, the photography show. It went well. Well, the last couple days before the show so Thursday and Friday were not beach days. It's a very beach-oriented, touristy town. And so nobody went to the beach those days. And the first day of the photography show was the perfect beach day. So it was horrible for us as a vendor and showing off my wares. It was horrible for me. But day two was much better. In fact, it made up for day one being so bad. So personally, I did very well. I sell my images as prints from everything from a small 4x6 note card with an envelope and all that, all the way up to 5x7, 8x10s. These are inches for those of you not in the real world. being a brat. And I sell all the way up to like a 24-inch by 36-inch image. But I also sell my images on coasters. I have little coasters that I make with all my images, and I have them on cutting boards and cheese boards and all that. So people actually spent more on the coasters and cutting boards. In fact, I sold quite a few, way more than 100 or so, of the coasters, which was great. And my best-selling image turned out to be just a snapshot of a set of hydrangea, which I thought was interesting.
So the cutting boards,
yeah.
What's the material?
It's glass. It's printed on glass. I print on the black backside. I reverse the image, print it on a glass blank, and then put little plastic rubber feet underneath. So Echo, yes, they were actually very, very, very blue. When I get off, I will, when it's somebody else's turn, I'll just post the picture, not a link. I'll just drop the picture in there of the actual hydrangea.
So this picture you've taken in the Bear Week post, is that one of your photos, or is that from the flyer?
No, that's from the flyer. It was bad. I didn't source it.
Oh, dear. I thought maybe you got those guys to pose for you.
No, but the day they do that photo, you will see 60, 70 guys with their cameras down there getting the Bear Week photos.
Sounds like a wild week.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I mean, every day or every week in Provincetown's a different theme. Sometimes it's Lipstick Week. Sometimes it's Bear Week. Carnival in August is so over the top. It's this year is Carnival. Mardi Gras by the Sea is the theme. One year they did Carnival's theme was Candyland. You remember the game Candyland growing up? So people came dressed as all kinds of different pieces of candy. It was actually hilarious.
Sounds like it would be.
And it's last year was the gods and goddesses, so that was all the Roman and Greek gods, and as you can imagine, that was quite interesting as well.
So you're never really knowing what you're going to see when you go into town.
It's my favorite. It was my favorite place growing up. You'd never know what you're going to see. And it's always interesting to see a tourist come into town who, it's an artist community. I can't wait to go see it. And they're just a little shocked because some of them don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Sounds like fun.
You can always tell who's from the heartland and who's from somewhere a little less isolated, shall we say.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So I'm taking it that if the people from Tazewell County came down there, that would be a bit of a culture shock for them.
I think that would be a polite way of saying it.
Gotcha.
Funny.
I think, yeah.
Thank you, Bluefin.
And thank you, by the way, for hosting this morning.
Thank you. And we got Damien's attention from Bluefin's post, so why don't you go now, Damien?
I was hoping Bluefin would talk more about the Bears.
Well, you could ask questions.
No, so the only question I want to know is are you going to be taking any more bear photos?
I actually have a bunch. I haven't processed them. I shot about 300 or so images that night. Random shots around town and random bears. I brought the good lens and the good camera, so.
I'm so behaving myself, not making a funny comment in reply to that. But anyway, getting on with my post. So this is one of my little writing tips, and it's got a very odd title, but those are in fact word counts or suggested daily word counts. And what this post is about is what it's like to look at, when you're looking at a blank page and you're trying to write, and you know, nothing's happening, nothing's coming. And it's really a tip for how to get going on a writing schedule, and with a little bit of motivation, because in the post I give a rundown of essentially what those daily word counts mean for you if you keep them up over a year, and it's quite frightening, actually, because the other point I make is, you know, if you can maintain, just to give you an example, if you can maintain a 200 word a day writing schedule, just 200 words a day, over a year, you'll write as much as the length of the first Harry Potter book. And then if you actually go and look at how much time and how much you spend writing on Discord and how many words you write a day on Discord, that's when it starts to get a bit scary. So, yeah, that's the post, and check it out.
So 2, 3, or 400 or 500 words. You sort of pick your poison and go with it?
Yeah, just set, you know, because the thing is, when you're looking at a blank page, you think, oh, I'm never going to fill this page. It's so daunting. But if you just say to yourself, do you know what? I'm just going to do 200 words. I'll be able to do 200 words in, you know, half an hour maximum. Half an hour for 200 words is really pushing it. And then that'll be it. And it just gives you an easier goal than saying, I'm going to try and fill this page. And if you could just stick to that, if you can do 200 words a day, you'll have written Harry Potter within a year.
Yeah, and really, when you think about it, if you've got even a morsel of inspiration, 200 words take less than 5 minutes.
And if you say, this is the thing, if you say your average post on Discord is say 10 words, that's 20 messages you send equivalent would get you that. It's nothing at all. So, I think that's the thing to remember. Just give yourself a small goal, but make it a daily goal, and yeah, go with it.
Yeah, there's a fellow by the name of Jeff Goyens who does a lot of marketing, writing material, and his objective is to have everybody writing 500 words a day. So you were being kind.
Yeah, but when you look at it, like a 75,000 word novel, which is approximately what you're going to get if you do 200 words a day, it's pretty good. You know, obviously you do want to write more, but just stick at a minimum of 200, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Shadows.
And Rhonda. Rhonda's here. I see her talking.
I'm here for sure. Okay, well, we have been doing this thing at the Writer's Block where we are doing more of a workout style thing, and it's going really well. So we've got a couple of posts to share about that today, and this is about the editing workshop. And what I did with this is something different. I really have not been in workshops that do this before. The problem that we've run into with critiquing the work, like when people drop their own work in the queues, is we have a lot of people who are new at this, and sometimes the critique is shocking for them, and the editing is shocking for them. And I've heard some complaints and things about people, you know, not really wanting to have their work ripped apart. And while experienced writers understand that that's part of the process, and you know, we come to look forward to it, sometimes new writers, they can't hear what we're saying for being upset at what they were told. And that's normal. That's part of it. I mean, you know, that's just, it's a growing process as a writer. So what we decided to do was to, instead of focusing on the actual work that people do, we're going to teach people what editing is all about and what critique and feedback is all about. So we had this workshop set up where we would take an anonymous piece of fiction from a published author, a well-known author, which is okay with fair use because it's for educational purposes. And we take this little excerpt from something on the bookshelves, and we drop it into the queue, and we let people read it out loud and look at it and examine it and critique it and learn what critiquing is and how editing will improve it. So we went through and we all critiqued it. We all got all our thoughts together, and then we did a actual critique on it where we edited it just like it was a document in the queue. And then everybody, if they want, can write an improved version of it, that's according to the edits. We had a blast. We had a full room too. We had a full house. We had a lot of people there, people that we normally don't see at the writer's block. We had all our regulars, and then we had a lot of new faces. Bluefin was there and Shadows was there, and it was awesome. And we had a lot of fun. And I think that kind of interaction is going to go a long way toward helping people when we do start opening the queues back up. I think it's going to be a lot different environment and a lot different ecosystem there, as far as we'll have a lot more people who understand the editing process and respond well to it. So anyway, it was fun. I declare it an overwhelming success. It was more successful than I expected. So we encourage anybody who wants to participate. If you're a member of the block, check out the Editing 101 channel. If you're not a member of the block, you're more than welcome to join us. Yes, thank you, Kitty Girl. We're going to be doing a lot of new things, a lot of new and exciting things, and I'm pretty excited, to be honest. We're headed in a good direction.
Okay. I see the next one is going to be at 6 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time next Tuesday.
Yeah, we're going to try to do these once a week. We have workouts that we're doing just every few days because those are a little more informal, and those are fun. I'm going to share a post about those in just a little bit. So we're doing those too. But the actual Editing 101, we're going to probably do it once a week as an actual class or, clinic, that you call these writing clinics and whatnot. So this is your editing clinic, and we'll be doing it once a week, and we may add some more features as we go, depending on, the response we get and how what people say they want. So it's pretty cool, I think.
And so if they missed last week, popping in this week won't put them too far behind on things.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not going to be a cumulative thing. It's not going to be where you have to attend one class to understand the next one. We'll cover the same ground a lot because you'll see the same issues a lot in writing. And so, it's not you can jump in anywhere and you'll be just fine.
And conversely, if you miss one, you can get back in pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. And Kitty Girl, you'd be stunned. I'm not going to tell people. I'm not going to say who it was or what we did, but it was a best-selling, multi-bestseller name everybody recognizes, and our folks tore him to shreds. And the end product was much more readable. So it just proves that you can't outgrow editing. I don't care how good of a writer you are or how many books you've published. You never outgrow your editors. It's a process that follows you through your entire career. And when you fail to edit or you skip that process, you may still sell books because of your name, but it doesn't make you fun to read.
EcoInstant has made the analogy that, like farmers, writers tend to till the same soil over and over.
Yeah, exactly.
And Movement has pointed out that editing is essential. And Damien's commented, true, learning to write is learning to edit.
Amen. That's the truth. That is it in a nutshell. 100%.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. Amelia, you're up.
Hey guys, so this morning I'm pimping a post by my boo, Hobo Tang. This is another installment in his Expired and Exposed photography adventure. And I'm typically along on these adventures because we do literally everything together. And I'm in a couple of these photos. So I was also a part of the developing process. And it's been really amazing to see Steemit's effect on Tang's photography activities and the photography, like how his photography experiments have impacted his Steemit shares. I really feel like it's made him grow as an artist.
Apparently he's going to grow a little more because he just said, now what am I going to share?
Well, I might have a post in the pipeline that he can share. Hint, hint. But I hope you guys get a chance to check this out and go through your storage, go through your basement, see if you have any old 35mm cameras, if you've got some old film lying around. Like, get out and try to experiment with it. It's an art form that is on its way back because there's something to be said about developing pictures by hand, holding prints in your hand, and creating an image that cannot be, yes, kitty girl, developed with coffee. I've seen it happen. It's very cool and very real.
For sure. Thank you,
And
Amelia.
Kitty Girl, you develop with wine and beet juice and all sorts of alternative processes that I will not be trying.
Putting some context to what you just said, Hobotang. Oh, developing film with coffee. So you can use different substances to develop film then, I take it.
Use the normal developing chemicals, and I've heard of alternative processes like beet juice and beer and wine as well.
So I'm assuming that each liquid would give it a different effect?
Each liquid will strip the surface off of the film, and the gelatin silver coating will set in a different manner depending on which solution or soup that you use. But we won't get too in depth in that.
But it doesn't change the resulting picture then.
Sometimes it'll expose different grain structure, and sometimes it'll subtly look like, not too much. It's really ingrained in the film more than the bath that you use.
Details we never ever think about and then find out. Yidna says, I love the one rendered like universe and nebulae. Okay. Thank you, Amelia.
That I shared last week. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
And Hobotang. And Movement, you're up.
Hey, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, everybody. All right, let me do my copy and paste. I have a fun post to this for a change. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say for a change, but I'm just sharing my after show post from last night's podcast over in Steam Music Alliance. Normally I'm in here with something about my talk show or the fundraising efforts that's been going on and different things, but I figured today keep it light and musical. I do the podcast every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time over in Steam Music Alliance after the Needle on Your Record show, which pretty much it goes on for hours. And last night I alternate each week between either hip hop and trip hop or house and techno. So this week was house techno. Last night's set was kind of minimal, a little bit dance floor stuff. I was in the mood to dance, and unfortunately my wife came home with her. She hurt her knee at work, so there wasn't too much dancing going on last night. But I was dancing in my head. So, yeah, this is it. Not much out of me today. I'm kind of taking it easy because she stayed home from work today to let her knee recoup. So, going to just let y'all get on with the show, and thank you for having me as always.
Well, thank you for being here and sharing with us.
Yeah. Oh, and I agree about editing. I love to write, and editing is key. I found that I moved to a new level in my writing skill when I realized that it was really all about editing. You know.
Indeed.
Oh, before then you just sort of put it out there and left it be regardless?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had a knack for writing, but I went to college 5 years ago. I got a 4-year degree, and you know, in my late 30s now, I'm 43, and definitely, like, even though I had a pretty good mastery of the English language, I definitely stepped it up a notch. There were a lot of things I didn't realize when it came to like scholarly and academic style writing. And I'm a firm believer in there's no rules, particularly in English, but there are things that make sense when written in ways that don't make sense, you know, would normally make sense a different way in your head or the spoken word.
Yeah, and it's often important to actually read it out loud or hear it read out loud too. Um, I don't do it enough when I'm writing stuff to publish, but if I'm going to do a talk on something, I always make sure that I've said it out loud at least 2 or 3 times before I get to that point.
Oh yeah, I love reading my stuff out loud to Mary, my wife. I did it all through the whole 4 years. Every time I had a big paper to hand in, I read it out loud to her and the kids. And yeah, man, you always catch it when you're reading out loud.
So does Mary like it when you read out loud?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's something I think she enjoys. I think, don't you? I don't know if she can hear me. She's in the other room.
Damien says editing is all about taking the reader into account, making it work for them. You can break rules, but only if they ultimately make it better for the reader. True enough. All right. Thank you, Movement.
Thank you.
Hobotang, you're up.
All right, I'm going to let Amelia share her own post, and I'm going to share a post that I thought was cool recently. This is a post by Zippy, Miss Zipporah. She recently visited the Taj Mahal and was able to capture just some amazing photos on her digital camera. Capturing all sorts of elements of design and each nook and cranny of the Taj Mahal. She really is an amazing photographer. She even goes into describing the differences in cult people she interacted with. They were more interested in her than the Taj Mahal itself, and got some amazing street photography out of it. And it's definitely worth a check out.
Yeah, she does. She's got some beautiful pictures there, picking up patterns and designs.
And took the time to edit each photograph, and the artists out there know how difficult it is to kind of upload all of these images, and it's really just an excellent post all the way through.
Certainly is. I think those are the most detailed pictures I've ever seen in the Taj Mahal.
I actually didn't, I've only seen a couple photographs of it. It's always been a place that I've wanted to visit, and I didn't realize how much detail was actually in it. I guess seeing it from afar, you know, how could you even say that? But she was able to capture just some amazing lines and patterns. It's awesome.
That was a guy who truly loved his wife.
Spleen.
The Taj Mahal was built some husband built it as a tribute to his wife.
As long as she didn't have to clean it.
I think at the time, she just sort of rested there.
Ah, okay.
Ain't that the truth? Men are always building women houses and then being like, clean up after me. Clean this house. I built it.
It's kind of hard to share this picture of the Taj Mahal, and yet I built only a school bus for Amelia, so we'll see.
The school bus is my Taj Mahal.
Actually, I'm pretty sure the Taj Mahal was a tomb for his wife, so she wouldn't have really been able to clean up anyway.
Good point, Damien.
I kind of caught that when Bluefin said rested there. He's a little subtle sometimes.
Okay.
Subtle.
Okay. Thank you, Hobotang. And Eco Instant, you are up.
I'm up. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's not it. Hold on a second.
Oh, nice profile. That's good. There we go.
Okay. Oh, that's not it either. That's a post I resteamed. Oh, okay.
You're batting 1,000, aren't you?
Does anybody know any other Tajes?
It's the only one I've ever
Used to
heard
have
of.
a friend named Taj.
Taj Mahal. Googling that.
Okay, and this is definitely it.
Okay.
Okay, so and that other link that I had was the winner post. So this was a contest I think I shared with you guys last week. Unusual talent competition. It turns out no one likes to consider their talents unusual because there was a lot of well, I don't do anything unusual commenting going on, and I think I may have been the only eligible entry. So a clear winner all around. And in this post, I actually didn't think I had an unusual talent either. If you get in there, it's kind of, I tried some clickbait techniques I've been reading about, so I don't know how far you guys will get, but spoiler alert, my talent is talking to children. Some basic advice, really basic advice about talking to kids. Be serious, listen to them, and be honest with them. And I didn't know that this was a talent until I actually went to a wedding recently and found myself racing sticks under a bridge with all the children involved while the adults got a chance to talk to each other. And was complimented immensely on this unusual talent that I had. And I thought this is unusual. People think this is unusual. So I put a little advice in there. There are some advanced techniques, but these are my intermediate recommendations for talking to children.
Well, good stuff. Kids are not always the easiest to talk to. And then you get the ones that are like 5 going on 50. And they're always an interesting challenge.
Oh, those are fun.
Okay.
But you have to be careful with those ones, because you can't do what we normally do with children. You can't make things up. You can't lie to them, you know.
Well, I thought you said they had to be honest with them.
Well, right. And, but I don't know, honesty, like I kind of mentioned Santa Claus in there, that's a lie, but it doesn't have to be. So, you know, you don't have to destroy their whole childhood. My example is, Santa Claus is a 4th century Greek. He loved giving gifts to children, and we still love doing that to this day.
Yeah, you gotta let them have a little mystery when they're young. All right. Thank you. Yidneth, you are up.
Okay, just a second to be able to post the link. Can you hear me right?
I can hear you.
So there we go. It's a rather long post. It has the the song, it has also a video clip that we filmed ourselves, including tons of locations around my area. It was filmed last spring and summer 2017. And then it also includes lots of pictures, anecdotes, and also the art design of the Grow logo that appears in the video that I did myself as well. And the song is rather special to me because the video, it features two of my friends. One is the deer that I befriended, and I go and feed him. It's a family of deer. It's a stuck, a doe, and a fawn. And I usually, sometimes when I say, remember the other day in the after party that I say, I'm going to step up because I'm going to visit my deer friends and get them carrots. So that is one of the deer that I have befriended. And he appears briefly in the video clip, so it's like an Easter egg. and Damien, it's a Huion graphic tablet. I'm using that now. I had a conventional tablet before, and I'm used to painting traditional, but I'm trying to get used to that. It's a Chinese brand, and it's cheaper than the Wacom tablets, but it does the job. And then about the song itself, it's a song about personal growth, about growing when the time is right. It says that even if seasons flow and winter has to come, the tall trees are the ones that thrive through the seasons and thrive every year and face the wings and just keep on growing when the time is right. So it is a song that does not only just like reflects just like my love for nature and for light and for summer and for green, which is my favorite color, and you already know, but also about being patient, saving the dreams, your dreams and your hopes in your heart until the time is right for them to grow and unfurl and unfold. And I really hope that you like the video and the song, and any kind of feedback is really welcome. Just like if you like it, of course you can upload it. But for me, the feedback is food. Just I kind of like when someone takes just like 2 words to see if they have liked what I have done. That's the purpose of sharing it. And I don't take more time. Thanks very much, and I stay around here.
You've got some beautiful pictures there, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. Lovely stuff.
Well, yeah, you get to see the video, and all the locations are around half an hour to 1 hour, depends. They are many different forests, same dress, but many different locations during 2 seasons, winter and spring, spring and summer. Oh my God, just like I glitched. So I really hope you like it. That's where I live now and where I ground and where I find peace and how I find peace. And you can get to see my isopod pet, a crustacean called Coconelli, and Harry the deer, which are 2 very special guests on the video. That really proves again that the small and tiny things are not devoid of meaning something really big. And in this case, that really loud, roly-poly little bug meant a lot to me.
Your music never disappoints you. When I'm feeling down, you're on my short list of music that I listen to. It's just very calming, and you're just so very talented with your pictures that you put in your posts and your music. It's just, how would I put it? It's like a therapy. Between you and this horsey thing I've been going to on Wednesdays, it's nice.
So Kitty Girl's just commenting that Coffee calls this post an explosion of joy in his comment. That's a nice description. All right, thank you, Yadnet. And Damien, you are up. And just before Damien goes, I will let everybody know that up in the giveaway channel, there is a giveaway running, and it has 49 minutes left.
Hey, Shadows.
Hey.
this post is kind of a little bit of a sad one, to be honest. Let me just put it in. We're back to editing, and it's the last in my series of Poetry Editing 101 posts. We've come a really long way in this now, and I'm really happy. I'm kind of sad it's ending, but I'm really happy that what's there, I'm very confident will take anyone following it from the basics of poetry, as long as they practice, up to publishable standards. So they'd happily be able to submit poetry to a magazine, and it would be looked at seriously and considered seriously. It wouldn't just be rejected. So it's it's just ending off with a few little tips, stuff I haven't covered, stuff that really needs to be said. And anyone who has been following it, and I know a few of you have, I've seen your poetry go from absolute strength to strength. So yeah, onwards and upwards. I'm probably going to move to. Thank you, eCoin. I'm probably going to move on to something maybe novel related, or maybe I'll start doing the thing I threatened from the beginning, which is a series of posts on the inner game of writing.
That's an interesting turn of phrase. Threatened from the beginning?
Well, yeah. Back when I first joined Steemit and the writer's block, and I did an introduction post, and I said that would be on the list of things to do. Essentially because it's based on a lot of my personal theory on writing is based on the ideas of an American, believe it or not, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and so essentially what I'm thinking of doing is using his writings to spark a series of posts about the inner game of writing, and so not so much the technique of what you do when you write, but more the psychology of it, the motivation of it and for it, and the kind of touchy-feely philosophy behind why we write and why we communicate and why it's important, and how that should inspire us to write, and how it should inspire us to go about our practice of writing.
Sounds like there's some interesting stuff you're going to cover there.
Well, yeah, I find Emerson's writing the most inspirational when it comes to my own practice. So it's absolutely brilliant stuff. I mean, I would just go and say, just go and read his lectures right away, because they're fantastic. But if not, then if that's what I choose to do next, just read my posts.
But if they go and read the lectures, then you won't need to write the posts.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm going to be using his writings as kind of a springboard and an inspiration, but obviously I'll go into my own developed ideas from his, because I mean, more than anything, what his writing did. I mean, I read Emerson before I went to university, and it's one of the reasons I went to university was to kind of follow that path that I wanted to do, and which the Emerson led me to. But from his ideas, I've obviously spent. I was at Oxford. I went to Bath Spa. I did postgrad at Brunel, and obviously, as you learn more and more, your ideas about these things become more developed, and you start forming your own ideas and you're defining your own terms. So that's really what my post would be about. But it would also be about recognizing that the source for all of this in me was initially Emerson. So yeah, I think that may be the thing I get to.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see that develop. Thank you, Damien.
Thank you, Shadows.
Bluefin, you are up.
Thank you. I am not posting, not pimping for me this time. I am pimping for Snook. She has had this children's story bouncing around her head, and she downloaded this recent piece of software called Face Rig, where if your camera in your laptop or your webcam is watching you, it will create, or it will take you and take your avatar and make a little character that sort of follows your face movements and your hand movements and gestures. And it's kind of a cool little video she put together.
And it's a cool story. Interestingly enough, Artemis and I and Ingenuity were discussing this story, not this post, but this story on Curation Corner on Tuesday. And it's a lovely story that she's written. Should make a great children's story. Thank you, Bluefin.
Yeah, I think it's well worth a read, not just for the video, but for the story itself.
Absolutely. And Rhonda, you're up.
Well, another thing that we've been doing, aside from the Editing 101 workshop, is we've been doing these little workouts. We've been doing them live, voice and text. We've been having a lot of fun. The first thing that we focused on was character sketches. And this was by request. Someone was having a real problem connecting with his character. So we said, well, let's just do this. It was very impromptu, and we didn't really have a prompt, and we just went in and wrote something, and we had a lot of fun. We learned things, but we weren't real happy with that. So we said, well, let's meet again in a couple days. And Tangle Branch came up with this really cute prompt. And so we picked a character, and we fleshed the character out, and we wrote the prompt. Well, having that time to prepare made all the difference in the world, because we had some really good fiction dropped in that. It was 250 words or fewer. We didn't want tomes written or anything, but we wanted to limit the amount of writing real estate that the person had to convey the information. And, character sketches is a subject that is hard for some people to get their heads around, because you can do them like vignettes. You can do this little moment in time type of thing. They're not really short stories. They're not stories. They don't, so to speak. But we got some really interesting stuff. So what we've done is that all of the people who were fairly happy with what they brought to the shop, they're going to work with each other and edit it down a little bit and maybe post them as little character sketch vignettes on Steemit. So anyway, we had a lot of fun with that, and we accomplished a lot. We had some writers who had never even worked with a character sketch, and this really broadened their understanding of it. Now our next one, 2.0, is going to also deal with characterizations, but what we're going to do is we're going to pick apart a Mary Sue. Now Mary Sue character is one who just does no wrong, who is just an impossibly perfect character, and ridiculously so many times. So the first time we meet, we're not really going to write anything. We're just going to discuss this character that we choose, see if everybody agrees that we've chosen a Mary Sue. And the following meeting that we have, we're going to do a little character sketch that un-Mary Sues them. So we're going to take this impossibly perfect character and make them interesting.
Mary Sue goes wild.
Yes, exactly.
Geez, Eco, you didn't get that idea at all. Yeah, I missed that last night. I got occupied on something.
Yeah, I saw that you were in a radio show, and I figured there's going to be a lot of conflicts. We're going to be doing these a lot. Maybe not every day, but we're going to be doing them at least, every few days. And there's just no way everybody's going to be able to be there all the time. So between Tangle, she has this gift for telling a story in like 3 words. I don't know. She can do this amazing microfiction. It's not even flash fiction. She can have a complete story arc in just almost no words at all. And so between Tangle and me and some of the others, I believe that we'll be able to keep it going, pretty much every few days and teach people word economy, how to not ramble on, how to get to the point, how to, convey as much information as possible without making their reader slog through a whole bunch of unnecessary language and words that don't add anything.
I've been told I'm down with word economy. I don't know that they mean in writing.
Well, come see.
All right. Thank you, Rhonda. And Sergeant Dan, you're up.
Well, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Most people here know about the Bad Karaoke Contest. For you who do not, you ought to check it out and join up. I'm waiting on the Kitty Girl and Shadows Club and Yidness and the Hive. That's a challenge out there for you. And just to let everybody know, as Snook tries to tell everybody, Sin Girl tries to tell everybody, it's not about the quality of your singing or what you perceive the quality of your singing is or how good you are, how bad you think you are, or anything else. It's just about having a good time, having a lot of fun. This one here was my entry I did a couple days ago. You'll notice there's, on my blog, there's 2 things. That D-Live was giving me fits. I mean, I loaded up the video and there was no sound to it. It was like a silent movie. I muted myself somehow or another. But Engine Witty asked me to sing the song I sing in this video. And, But I might mention, if you look at the post, you scroll all the way down, it's one other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll probably go ahead and put another little emoji down here to promote this curator from Korea. I don't believe he's Korean, but he lives in Korea. And he's doing this new initiative called Review Me. And Shadows Pub has done one. I haven't looked recently to see who else has done a few, but it's a really neat thing, and I'll talk about that later.
Sounds like a plan. Yidna says, if I ever learned to play the backing of the only Chinese song I know, I could go bad really for reals. You don't actually have to be bad, you just have to have fun, Yidna. Although Kitty Girl pointed out that Yidna might be the first to sing karaoke in Chinese on Steam. Could have a point there. All right. Thank you, Serge.
It's funny, though, because the first time I ever heard of karaoke or anything else was years ago. I was stationed over in Okinawa, Japan. And I was in Hanoko, which is right outside Camp Schwab, northern end of the island. In Okinawa, and there were these Japanese folks in there. They were doing karaoke. they had to set up and everything. And of course, they were singing in Japanese. But that's the first time I'd ever heard of karaoke or ever seen anything like it. That was back in the 80s.
By the way, just so that you're well aware, I consider to be a public service that I do not sing, so that challenge will not be taken by me. Just so you know. Okay, Amelia, you are up.
Hey guys, let me grab that link for you. Hi Katrina! So, Hobo Tang and I did our first, quote-unquote Wednesday walk, which was inspired by the community at this point. People do Wednesday walks every week, and I know Ingenuity just did one. So Alan and I went to a local museum in our hometown here in Tennessee. So like when we first moved to Tennessee, we moved to this town. And the museum was an interesting experience. I share some pictures and a little bit of the story about this fun, kind of kitschy, outdated museum and how nice it was to spend around on a Wednesday.
I would definitely say you're at a display regards to World War II.
I'm sorry, what did you say about World War II?
I said I would definitely say you were at a display about World War II.
Oh, yes. So I'd say a good third of this museum is dedicated to the history of the actual city that it's in. So even though it's called the American Museum of Science and Energy, it's a loose name for what goes on at this museum. Really, it's kind of a big history piece on Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which was the site of the Manhattan Project. That was where they were enriching the uranium that would eventually make available the atomic bombs used in World War II. So it's a lot of history surrounding that. So this room that is shown in the header picture is like no more than 1,000 square feet. And there's so much information crammed on every wall. You're just kind of walking around like, this is weird. This is like some beginner museum display. Like, it was just really interesting.
So I also see that this museum is about to close.
Yes, it's closing on July 29th. So they lost, I think it was like 5/6 of their funding. Like somebody explained it to us, like they lost almost all of their funding, and because they're a government subsidized operation, they are downgrading and downsizing their building to probably be like no bigger than maybe the bottom floor of this building, like minus a lot of the extra stuff. Like there's a theater in there that seats like 300 people that's basically just playing old war reels and like war propaganda from World War II. And then like occasionally they do an energy show where you like put your hand on this electric ball. Have you ever seen one of those where like the electro waves like touch your finger wherever your hand is on the glass and it like makes your hair stand up? It's just a strange place.
That's pretty wild, but just a little bit of trivia talking about Tennessee. And I've been up there by the monument. You know, there was a Medal of Honor winner. Some of y'all's American, maybe some Canadians in here might recognize a name named Sergeant York. He was a sniper during World War I. From Tennessee, a pacifist, a very religious Christian man, remained a pacifist his entire time in the military and even after he got out of the military. And that's pretty cool. But he was from Tennessee, up the way up there.
That's pretty cool. Tennessee had a tremendous amount of war history. I mean, we're not called the volunteer state for nothing. It's pretty rich here.
So does anybody know what will happen with the artifacts when that closes?
So I'd say artifacts is like a really big overstatement. I'd say there's like a handful of quote unquote actual artifacts, like historical things. There's maybe, like there's one room that had like a case. Everything else was like one thing here, one thing there. I feel like you could probably pack it all into a U-Haul. And I think that all of that stuff would be kept. But like all of the museum displays, like there's a model submarine made of fiberglass, or there's like some weird energy games where like you press a button and like you see different colors of light. I think that those things will probably like go away because they're really outdated. Like if you went to a kids museum in the 80s and 90s, like I went there yesterday.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Kitty girl, that's a really great idea.
It gives people the idea, but it doesn't actually show them the real thing.
Oh yeah, not at all. It's very like gimmicky. Like on the bottom floor, there were these things called brain teasers, and they were just like little island tables where you could put together like wooden brain puzzles. And Alan and I were just like, how is this relevant? Like,
Probably explains why it's about the clothes.
yeah, I would say so. It was very nostalgic though, so I think we could appreciate it for that much.
Okay. Thank you, Amelia. Tiny, you're up.
Thanks, Shadows.
Hi, I made it. It's been a while since I was here. Let me put in my
for
name.
sure.
My new job's been keeping me kind of busy, so when I do have writing time, I tend to spend it on the longer term projects I've been working on, my fantasy novel or the tiny teachers posts. And it had been a while since I got some fiction posted onto Steemit. But this was perfect. It was Jaina's 50-word prompt that I kept promising myself I'd enter, but I never seemed to find the time, and I just did it this time. And it's funny because it's sort of become a prequel to a story I once wrote that some of you may remember. It's one of my first ones called Dry Spell. And I recently revisited it, and it wants to grow. It wants to become a novella. Yeah, the characters told me. But this is sort of the prequel, so it's sort of funny. And I was just really happy to be finally posting even a little bit of fiction onto Steemit again.
So you had a character meeting, and they've said that it wants to grow.
Yeah, my characters never listen to what I tell them to. They never do what I want them to or what I expect them to. Yeah, these two have decided they want their story to be longer. So yeah, they made me write more. It's still in the works, but at some point it's going to get finished, I think.
So I'm kind of gathering that the guy that left Annie at the altar wants to tell his side of the story?
Well, no, it's a prequel. So that means it sort of tells us something of Annie's history before the story begins.
Ah, gotcha.
I wonder, do people ever take like all these little micro fiction pieces or their little free writes and ever stitch them all together into one larger story? Weave them all together?
I actually think the Rose Patch is doing that. She's been I think she's been entering the 50-word prompts by Jaina. Or did she start with 50-word prompts and did she then go her own way? I don't know, but all of her micro flash 50-word stories sort of tie together and form one big one.
Well, that'd be cool.
Have you seen the fiction that Snook has been putting out?
I haven't. I just saw it pass right now and I bookmarked the link to return to it. But between my new job...
You're talking about the children's story. There's another bit of fiction that she puts out, and she's writing this fiction piece in parts, but from what she told us here, she's using the free write prompts to decide where the story's going to go next.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to start with the children's story, but I will definitely check out her other ones.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting use of free write prompts.
Yeah, a very constructive one. I like the idea I tend to use things like that, prompts like that, only when I have a bit of a writer's block. But it's a way to stimulate your creativity and to not get stuck in a rut, I think.
True.
Is this her Scary, Skari
yes.
story? Yeah.
Scotty.
Say that again, Eco?
I think it's Scotty.
You'd probably know.
Well, she asked me, she said, is there any way I can say this that it's not scary?
Actually,
okay.
My Dutch brain reads that spelling as Scotty as well.
And she's
yes, it's
Dutch.
She's Dutch.
Okay. Thank you, Tiny.
Thank
Ignace,
you.
you're up.
Okay, I'm going to drop the link just a second because I'm not going to share myself.
But you always share yourself. Oh, you mean one of your posts?
No, not now. I'm going to share my friend who is here in the audience. It's Painting Angels.
Is Painting being shy on us today?
I don't know if she's being shy, but I'm going to take the lead until she's ready to do that. So she can always cue it and present by text if she wishes. But this is something that I want to do because we talk a lot ourselves with friends for a long time, and we talk about manual creation, about how we can help others, and we're nothing but minnows, but it doesn't, well, it doesn't matter that we can provide feedback, right? And I was just like talking to her that I kind of want to make like a show and started to do shout outs during my lives. And she herself has begun with a really lovely weekly, like a theme by the days of the week, a kind of curation, sharing her picks. Music Mondays, Torture Tuesdays, Wistful Wednesdays, and it doesn't matter that she's not really, or I, that are just like a small, but we can just like give something back, and we may even plot something together. But so far, she's started this week, and I cannot help to do a massive shout out. The Music Monday selects also some of my favorite music posts of the week, like Betty Cemena and Dina Romanelli, and one newcomer to the open mic, Ilesha, that did a brilliant job. And I don't know. I think even if you can provide a really big upvote, those person there featured are going to be super happy to have a review and to know that someone read those posts and listened to that music. And she's going to do just like a theme per day. And I just wanted to share this post to encourage her to keep up without pressure, but relentlessly, just like you got this. And come on, see Waffle the cat. Isn't he cute? So, just like that is super clickbait, you see. So there's a cute cat there, so you have to get there and maybe discover some new underrated content. So that's it. That was for Serena Matthews, Painting Angels, who, by the way, is an amazing singer, songwriter herself. And that's all for today.
She is actually a lovely songwriter. The studious cat there, is that a cousin to Azaria's Stibby or Stubby? Snibby, pardon me.
Yeah, Serena and Isaria are both cat ladies, I think. But they're both very well. You as well with Fania, But you are all very kind with the ratty girl, So who said that cats and rats are not friends? Ha!
The concept of giving other posts recognition is just as important as a big upvote, because people need to know that they're getting noticed, they're getting read. And really good timing, because Kitty Girl just put a note in there. Everyone is presenting today. Please be sure to support the others who are presenting with upvotes and comments. And, your voting power can deplete rather quickly on Thursdays, but your commenting power is constant.
And I'm just blurting myself how to also to do shout outs during the lives, and we cannot talk a lot, so we tried how to plot these also to work in synergy, and maybe to work in synergy with other people that are just like curating manually, because I kind of believe that manual curation is just like I know I'm kind of naive. I've never really used any kind of anything on Steemit, but I grew up organically. I'm not really opening the debate pro or against bots. I think if they're used wisely, there is nothing, they can be used for good as well. But manual curation is goodness. That's something that is out of the discussion. The people like to know that they were scouted, that they were listened, that they were read, and And that is something that you can do with a 1 steam or 1 million steam power. It doesn't matter. You're a curator already. You've always been, Serena.
All right. Thank you, Yadna. And as Ingen pointed out, personal touch is a social element. Shadows has a new hairdo.
Yeah, in the gift that Engine posted.
And color, apparently.
Yeah, that's
Eco Instant, you are up.
All right, since we've been talking about Snook, I thought I would share this. So she got my wife on camera to do an interview for her Pants Are Optional podcast, and hilarity ensued. As soon as I left the room, of course, I couldn't be there because, anyways, I kind of distract, and then she was a little nervous about her English, but I think you'll find that after a few maybe minutes or less, your brain kind of adjusts, and I think she's speaking incredible English. I learned things about both my mom and my wife that I hadn't known before, and I just thought I just laughed a lot. And so I thought I'd share with you guys and see if it translates well outside the family.
It does, but I have to admit my curiosity is now a bit of piqued. What did you learn that you didn't know before?
I don't want to answer that question.
But you left the opening there.
I did. I put it out there, a little softball.
Yep. You're not going to come up with anything to appease the question, eh?
No, I got nothing for you.
All right. Thank you, Eco.
Thank you for hosting this. This is always so much fun.
Glad you enjoy it. Zipporah, you're up. Oh, this looks familiar.
Hello. I slept in a little this morning, so
And guess
good morning.
what?
What?
Hobotag already put this up for us.
That's funny. I actually wondered because I had some I had some Genobot notifications, and I was like, those look like PYPT people, but I wasn't going to assume. Okay.
So,
well,
what's
then
your
ignore
what's
me.
your take on your post?
What's my take? Okay. This is interesting. I started to make this post probably about a month ago, and I was just going to share a handful of photos from that day. And when I actually went to press post, I felt like it just felt flat, and I wasn't really honoring the significance of what that day turned out to be for me in terms of how it affected the rest of my trip and the decision that I then made about how I wanted to travel. So I decided I was going to do, more like a travel with me. Let me actually take you through the complex with me, kind of the way that I went through it. And it took me a lot longer than I thought it would, because that's how things work with me. But I've been working on that post off and on for the last month, and finally just pushed it out the other day, even though Steemit always seems to mess up my formatting. I finally just bit the bullet, and there you go. So there's my day at the Taj Mahal, and it was very rainy, which is not at all what I had seen in pictures before, but I actually found it to be a much more interesting experience that way. And that's what the post sort of shares, some details that are visual, but also a little bit of my my experience with some of the locals.
So you said that day changed your plans on travel?
Well,
I
didn't actually have plans, but I had met, as I say in the post, I had met a guy on my flight. He was just a really nice guy, and he was just about to start a job, and so he was doing like a 2-week trip before he started some, I don't know, big job. And so he had all of his 2 weeks pre-planned. He'd already paid for most of it, and I didn't know. I had no plans of my own, so he invited me to come along. There was space in the car that was paid for, and so the way I had decided I was going to travel from the beginning was I would just I would kind of follow the invitations as they came. And so I went, and we had spent the previous day literally like flying through these towns, past all these streets. And I was looking through windows going like, but wait, but look at all those people. I mean, I had just arrived, and it was so strange to be like flying past all the things that I really wanted to stop and look at. And we were just taken from like temple to temple to temple, and we were paying exorbitant amounts of money to go into these temples while it was crazy downpour, rain, monsoon. And I just, by the time we'd gotten to the Taj, I went my own way. He kind of went exploring, and I just realized this is not what I want to do. We were going to zip off the next day to Rajasthan, and it was going to be 2 weeks of that kind of travel. And what it really showed me is that I move at a much slower pace, and I'm interested in the people, not the tourist attractions, but like the people that are just on the street, the chaiwala, I wanted to actually feel the spirit and the personality of the places that I was visiting, not the postcard perfection, I guess would be the word.
Sort of like Katrina's commented there that she'd rather stay in one place for longer than try to see everything.
Yeah, exactly. So the way it ended up, it was funny because for the rest of the time, all the other travelers would be like, why were you in Agra? Like nobody goes to Agra. Nobody stays that long in Agra. But I stayed there for a week, and the rest of my journey, I didn't stay in any one place less than a month. And in the whole year that I was on that trip, I could count on both my hands the places that I'd been to. And some places I stayed, like Varanasi, I stayed for 3 months, and it was really just, I would stay until I felt like it was time to move on. And I think that it's just a very different way to travel. But it means that all of the places that I went to are now very much a part of me, and I remember them very well and very clearly.
Yeah, and Kitty Girl's pointing out that folks were commenting earlier about how detailed your pics are.
Yeah, well, I'm a very detail-oriented kind of person, and I think that was part of what struck me so much when I was there, when I got closer up and realized that I was getting this experience of the Taj Mahal that was different because it was so overcast, and I had no idea how incredibly detailed that structure is, and all the parts of it. You know, if you, that's what I was trying to really convey in the post, is that from the stones laid beneath your feet to every part of the walls, and I just imagine how much effort and time and energy went into that. I think I read somewhere that the equivalent cost would be in rupees, what it was then is the equivalent to like $837 million. It's crazy. And this was in like 1650 or 1630 something. I don't remember the exact date, but it is really pretty miraculous when you're up close and you can actually touch it. And so I wanted to actually bring people into the details of it in a way that maybe they have never been, because I hadn't been either.
I think you succeeded.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me re-pimp something that's already been pimped. I didn't know.
No, you didn't. Thank you, Zipporah.
Thanks, guys.
Amelia says that Zipporah and her travel very similar. Okay, Sergeant Dan.
Well, my last post I pimped and self-aggrandize, but that's what we're supposed to do on the Pimpy Post. I want to aggrandize this fella here. This is an up-and-coming curator by the name of Kaju, or Kalaju. He lives in Korea. Shame is he's been in the hospital here the past few days. I haven't gotten an update. He was having intestinal problems. I don't know if it was from his stew or what it was, but then he found out later he had stones. So he had to go in the hospital. So you go over and look at his blog. He got some talk about being in the hospital there in Korea. But anyway, this is the fellow that came up with the Review Me tag. There's a number of people that have done some. Shadows Pub did one, and I did one, and Snook did one, and a few other folks did one. But it's really neat, you know. You just make a post, and say a little something about yourself, and then you collect stars and stuff. And then he has it all formatted out for you where you can copy it and paste it. And then, of course, your little yellow thing down the bottom, I didn't do it with mine, but you want to make that clickable image. You want to change that code so that when they click on Review Me, it goes to your, if you use that, like in your post at the bottom, you want to change that so that it goes to your Review Me post that you did. That way they can go over and you get stars. And he says after you collect so many stars, you can turn that in for SBD or Steam or something or another. So it's a really neat initiative. And you all might want to go over there and give him some love. I mean, just another positive person trying to do some positive stuff. And his curation shows on D Live, I watched one of them, and if that's any indication, he's pretty hilarious. he does this curation live, and he does it. I vote for this. No, I ain't voting for no damn flowers. Damn flowers. That's all I see. No, I ain't voting on this. And I'll vote on that. And it's just funny to watch him as he goes through and curates things. But he seems like a really neat guy and somebody really neat to get to know. And hopefully he'll pop in here when he's feeling a little better and stuff.
Never know. We might get him on the curation corner.
He'd be a good one. He's funny. He's fun. I don't know where he's from. I can't place his accent. But you can see by his video, he lives in Korea, and his tag and everything, greeting from the Koreas. But I'm not sure where he's from originally.
Well, there we go. That solves it. He's a Canadian.
I never heard no Canadian accent like that before. But I like him. He seems like a really, really, really neat person.
He may be a maritimer.
As a matter of fact, Deranged Visions, that's how I found this guy, was off of your post. That's how I found him.
I guess we're just going to have to check about a little bit further. Speaking of the curation corner, Carl Nash is going to be our guest next week. Should get interesting. All right. Thank you, Sarge. Hi, Deranged. Katrina, you are up.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This happened yesterday. Last couple of days have been sort of rough for me. I had this beautiful weekend in Whistler away from the kids, and then I came back and tried to transition into being a mommy, and it hasn't been easy. But my kids went with their dad to the park yesterday evening, and I had some time to process my feelings through music, and this song happened, and it's only a 3-chord song. I don't even change it. It's almost meditative the way that the music happens. But I went from sitting on the floor crying, playing guitar, to not crying, playing guitar, and being able to smile. So that's the healing power of music. And this got a Curie last night, so I apparently had I translated my feelings pretty well, I guess.
Well, congratulations on the Curie.
Thank you.
Nice work. Although we shouldn't be surprised. It is Katrina.
But of course, but we all need to get in some music. The only 2 Curies I ever got my whole time here on Steam was back karaoke. There's another reason for you to go back karaoke. I mean, if they gonna carry me, terrible as I sing, y'all do good.
Maybe they were just giving it to you for your courage. Well, thank you, Katrina. And I haven't got anybody else on the list. What's happened here, guys?
Feels like it's the last 2 minutes to enter your little giveaway, kids.
It is. Okay, Deranged, you're up. Oh, he's got to type. Engine has an announcement. So, Engine, while Deranged is typing, you go ahead and make your announcement.
The account Lost Key has returned the funds to the Alliance after 3 weeks. Yay!
Yay! That's amazing! Congratulations!
Yeah, I didn't think we'd ever get it back, but it just popped in there this morning. Coffee said, hey, so I got an email. I don't know why he emailed Coffee instead of me, but he emailed Coffee, and Coffee told me, he said, yeah, by the way, you got your funds returned. And I was like, woohoo! So, yeah, happy about that.
What prompted him to finally come across?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Well, hopefully some pressure was brought to bear, and that he won't try that stunt again.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
Can but hope, anyways. And don't you have a second announcement to make? Engine's going, what am I supposed to do now?
How very cryptic.
That was the wrong thing I was supposed to be pasting. That was for guilty. Yes. I'm going to be doing a show here too on Ramblin' Radio starting on Fridays. So anybody that wants to tune into that, it'll be called Words with Witty. Starting at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not sure what that is in UTC time. 7, maybe?
6.
6?
What a witty name.
Right?
And Carrie,
I love it.
Carrie wants
Any
to
kinds
know,
of words. It'll just be random stuff. Figure it can start off with a little bit of a witness chat, not much, just updates and happenings throughout the community. Move on to maybe some posts I think that are undervalued, maybe some that are overvalued, and wherever it goes from there, it goes.
Just go with the flow. So, are you starting tomorrow, or are you starting a week tomorrow?
We'll start that next week.
Okay. So that will be the 20th, which is interesting timing because the next witness chat is the 21st.
Isn't that convenient?
Yeah. So you're going to have to do a little write-up on that yet.
Yeah, I need to play around with OBS, make sure I got all the settings the way I want and whatnot.
Yeah.
I pulled it up last night, but my internet was acting stupid, so I gave up.
Okay, Deranged.
Oh, that little voice. That voice was cute.
What's that for you?
All right. Deranged says, this is my first video I've made in DLive for the new cooking series for the Deranged Eats video series I'm going to be making. I'm hoping to do this about every week or so, but it takes a long time to edit these photos. Feedback on the video is appreciated. If it sucks, I'd like to know. If it's something you'd like me to continue, then I would like to know as well. Thank you. Deranged eats. So, does your eating match your name? Is it deranged like? We'll wait for him to type in an answer. He says it's sort of deranged.
Whiskey sirloin. Sounds good.
Uh-huh. So that's when you throw the sirloin on the grill and drink the whiskey.
See how many shots you can take before it's finally cooked.
Whiskey's in the recipe. Okay. He started with the whiskey, and then he didn't care if he threw it on the grill.
I like to cook with wine. I actually put it in the food sometimes.
My dad, he had beer to everything. Like he'd beer batter fish, and he'd take a can of beer and put it like in the grill, so it would, I don't know, kind of give it a smoky beer flavor. He was a big fan of beer.
That little voice is tickling me. I love it.
She's trying to explain to you about how much she likes juice.
So, Kitty Girl, I know she's in the channel. And Eco Instant, you're there too?
I think she was shilling juice.
Was she shilling juice? Eco, you're present at the keyboard, right?
Here I am.
And Kitty Girl
too.
is?
Yes.
Okay, each one wins a Steam Basic Income.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Congrats. Congrats, guys.
Okay, has anyone else got anything that they wish to present? This is different. The Kitty Girl. You're up.
Well, I posted a picture sometime back, you might remember it, that showed Venus, the one of the planets in our solar system, appearing as a bright evening star. And I wanted to let folks know that there's more that you can see out there besides just that. So I wrote a post and showed how, as Venus is setting, you can also see Jupiter and Saturn appearing again as stars. You have to have a pair of binoculars or a telescope to begin to see the disk of the planet. And then when Venus is already set, you can actually see Mars coming up. And Mars is especially beautiful, I think. It's got a pretty orangish color, and it's been shining very, very brightly here lately. And there's also a constellation or two and an asterism or two that you can see in that post. And I see Engine said it was Curie. I don't believe Curie hit it, but Post Promoter did, Post Curator, which is just as good as a Curie. Definitely. It was good because I spent several hours on this post, and I'm glad to see that it did get some recognition. Oh, wait, Curie did hit it too. Yes. Interesting. Yes. But Post Promoter and Post Curator, they were the ones that gave me the biggest upvote. And I was really grateful for that. It's frustrating when you spend hours and hours working on a post and then it earns $3 and that's it, you know. So it was really great to see this one pick up some more steam, literally. But yeah, at the beginning of this post, I'll talk about how I became interested in stargazing, and then I'll talk a little bit about what can be seen up there, including a binocular drawing that I made of Jupiter's moons that can be seen with binoculars. And then I'll touch into the constellations just a little bit and show one constellation and then one asterism, which is one of the figures you can see in the sky that is not one of the officially recognized constellations, the teapot. It's really easy to spot if you're in a dark sky location. So there's something fun to do on a summer night. So hope everyone enjoys it.
Kitty Girl does a lot of really good posts, so it's nice to see you get the recognition.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, even a simple post that only has 1 or 2 paragraphs, you know, I read it. Well, I type it, and a lot of times I edit it as I'm typing it, and then I go back and proofread it once, proofread it the second time. Sometimes I'll wait a couple hours, come back and look at it with fresh eyes, proofread it a third and a fourth time, changing things, tweaking things. I mean, even the simplest of posts, I've got hours of work in them, at least a couple of hours, if not more. But this post probably had a good 8 hours worth of work. Time I looked up all the links. I mean, everything, I put in the post I knew by heart, but you have to cite sources, which is kind of frustrating that you have to do that about, something that you've known for 30 or 40 years, you read it in a book, it's true, but you still have to cite the source, so, by the time I've done all the proofreading, all the image editing, citing sources, blah, 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 I probably had 8 hours worth of work in this post easily, maybe more, I don't know. So, anywho.
And Yidna says, it's a beautiful post. I'd already read that one. It's beautifully formatted. And she's a stargazer. And Zipporah makes the comment that she got a tiny Curie on her Taj Mahal. Apparently she earns too much, partially because she uses Smart Steam.
I'm not familiar with Smart Steam. What is Smart Steam?
It's actually...
Go ahead, Zipporah.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess the push to talk wasn't working.
Yeah, it works easier that way.
Yeah, it works easier that way. Smart Steam, you can just check it out, smartsteam.com. You can apply to get whitelisted. When I applied, it actually took a little while, but so what I can do through there, they do have a bot, but they also have the service that you can actually buy upvotes from other users. And so I actually sell my vote as well. So times when I'm not there and I can't be curating and I have VP, it can be used, and I can set on there that I only want it for people who are like 2 stars or 3 stars or actually whitelisted. So I know that it's good content, and I can also go and buy votes from people who've agreed to sell their vote as well. And that's just something that I started doing because I don't like putting that much energy into a post and then maybe earning an SBD or 2. And so I consider it investing in myself, and I usually send 5 or 10 SBD, and I generally get a good return on that. And it's also sort of a way that I figure I'm kind of tricking myself into powering up my SBDs, because then I get part of it back as SP.
Yeah, and right now you're getting some of that not only as SP, but as Steam.
Exactly.
That reduces the amount of SBD that you would have received on a 50-50.
Yeah. So for me, it's just been it does something to my spirit to actually see earnings on the post, even if I've paid for them. And so I usually give my posts a couple days to earn organically and kind of do their thing. And then I think their limit on there is you can't buy votes past the 3.5 day mark like a lot of the bots. But I usually give it a couple days to do its thing, and then I send 5 or 10 SBD, whatever. But that means that to Curie, it looks like I'm earning too much, but it's just because I'm making sure that my posts don't fall flat.
All right, thanks for the explanation. I never heard of that before.
Yeah, I can send you a link if you want a little, I'll send you a DM.
Well, actually, I just typed in the URL, so I've got the page loading in my browser. Thanks, though.
EcoInstant makes an interesting point, because when you do the Smart Steam, because you're doing it kind of later than the rest of your voters, the curation rewards will improve for the rest of the voters too. So as he said, you're actually rewarding your followers.
Yeah, it's true.
Carrie is 7 years old. Okay, that was a revelation we didn't need. You know you're supposed to be 13 to use the platform, Carrie. All right. Goodness says, now I hit reputation 60. There are many contests that close for me because I have too much rep. Yeah, this is true. Okay, Katrina, you are up.
Just a second.
Okay. There we go.
Sorry, are you saying I've got a smooth voice? That's like my morning, I'm not even awake yet voice. So this is another music post. I did 2 of them yesterday, the last couple of days. I try to do the Art of Music contest and open mic each week these days to get me on my guitar and get me making music. So the open mic post that I did earlier, that was a brand new song, hadn't even been named yet when I did the video. And this one is a 22-year-old song that I wrote with a friend of mine who's joined Steemit but hasn't shown up to do anything yet. But we wrote this on top of a hill in Chicago, outside of Chicago in a suburb. And we wrote a lot of music on that hill. I've always loved this song. He wrote the music, I wrote the lyrics. And it's just, it's fun to be able to share my original music here. Yeah, Zippy, thank you. Eagle Spirit, thank you. Yidnith, thank you, all of you. It's pretty amazing to be making music and have people actually enjoy it.
Yes, it's always good to be appreciated for the creativity that you have.
And it's nice to have an audience that isn't necessarily a live audience, because I've become even more shy in my motherhood and my just being out in the country. I don't get out much. And, to actually go and perform somewhere would be a lot for me. Yeah, I was hiding on that one, Woody. I've been needing to hide the last couple of days a little bit.
Sometimes that creates mystique. Or are you not trying to create mystique?
I guess I'm just being honest about where I'm at.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Eagle says, did you take your sunglasses off while you sing Ingenuity? He says sometimes. Only sometimes. Thank you, Katrina. And Yidnith, you're up.
Thank you.
Kitty Girl says she can relate to the hiding thing.
Okay, I'm going to post. It's a post that is not mine, but I'm featured in, and it's Pensive Show tonight.
Ah, you're on Pensive Show tonight.
Yeah, I was in Pensive Show when the show was about your 8 favorite songs, and but they have changed the format, and now you present 8 songs of yourself that are significant to you, or that you used to explain your career. In the previous one, it was just like my 8 favorite songs, and I plagued everyone with all my geeky fantasy favorite, like the never-ending story, Labyrinth, the Dark Crystal, and lots of Muppets. And now I'm going to present my own cryptic fantasy music tonight, and I'm going to be there with fellow musicians Sevo and Lorenzo from Italy. And well, the show is it's tonight, and I am the one that goes first. It begins at 10 Central European time. So I think I can do a couple of live songs at the beginning of the show if it's not very late. And I will pick I hope to make it in the. You want to make the Muppet sounds? I really went on the live once with 3 plush rat toys and I sang Muppet. I can pass you the link, but maybe you won't take me seriously after that. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing that you don't take me seriously. So I'm going to be there tonight, and everybody is welcome to be along with me or my fellow Steamian friends on Pensive Show on MSP Radio.
So do you know which hour you're in?
I'm going to be the first, so I start at 10 Central European time. I think that's 8 UTC.
I think he's got it. Yeah, 8 UTC, which would be 4 o'clock Eastern.
Wow, you got me. Yeah, you're just like I suck at maths. Like I always get confused about those things. Just like you got me. So I totally would be. Maybe I will sing a Muppet song tonight. No, maybe not. But really, I will forward you some of my Muppety side. I'm a very fan of Jim Henson, and I think everybody knows here. Like I grew up with the Muppets, and I think they're very wise. So you must take them seriously because the Muppets are wise and they are kind. And they did, Kermit the Frog is like some kind of, I don't know, like a role model. I think I'm a Jim Henson girl after all. Just like the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth are my favorite movies, so I can't help it. My favorite friends, they call me the Fraggle Princess, so that's where it comes from.
Yeah, but Yidneth, we do know that you're biased because Kermit's green.
Yeah, and it's not that easy being green. But yeah, I'm green most of the time. So.
Yeah, you're a little bit biased when it comes to green. And Katrina says, it's great, Yidneth. There's a lot of wisdom to learn from the Muppets. Also, how to not take yourself too seriously. All right. Has anybody else got anything that they would like to share? Yes, Crazy in the Shadows. My favorite spot.
I just want to say to the Ranged Visions to West that about the Age of Resistance, I happen to be friends. I happen to be friends with the Frodes, with Brian and Wendy Frode, and they made the designs of the Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. And a couple of years ago, they were doing a sequel of the Dark Crystal, and they were really sad because they didn't call them, and they had made all the Muppets and the puppets and all the designs in the original Dark Crystal. But this time in the Age of Resistance, they're in Wendy, Brian, and their son. So it looks like it's going to be good. I'm really happy that they do a Netflix series maybe to rescue the movie because it's my favorite one.
All right. Thank you, Yidneth. And Katrina, you have something.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, the You Are Hope Thankful Thursday donor report. You Are Hope is less in the spotlight lately, I think partially because Third Court took such a big step back, which is healthy and good. But it is still alive and doing good in the world. So there's a really easy way to contribute just to upvote this post if you have VP or voting power left, or you can wait a couple of days. You got 7 days to do it.
Yes, that's always a good one to support, along with Tark, of course, or split it between the both, either or.
That's what I usually do.
Yeah, because they all need the help, and of course with Steam being down, it makes it even harder.
It really does, and there haven't been any recent posts from Tark, so I tend to do a fundraising post every week or every other week and just split the rewards between the two charities. Oh, and Woody's got a good point there.
Yeah, you can delegate as little as 10 SP to allied forces, and dividends go to both TARC and UR Hope. Yeah, they have been. It's a combination of the activity on the platform being down as well as the price. But, it's like everything else. It will come back up just about the time that Bitcoin starts moving seriously up.
Yeah, the crypto roller coaster. It's sort of matching my roller coaster emotionally lately. But the dips, they come back up again.
True enough. Okay then, it looks as though everybody's shared what they wish to share today. So you've been listening to Shadows Pub host Pimp Your Post Thursday, morning edition from the Steam at Ramble, and broadcast on DLive at Rambling Radio. Until next time, it's all about community.